Whoa. This room is gigantic. Now, when we see architecture this big, we tend to think, oh, it might be from 100, 200 years old. But this right here is more than 1,700 years old, dating back to 300 AD. But this is a very unique place because this shows the opulence of the Roman Empire. Back in 300 AD, the Roman Empire was already thriving, going from one corner of Europe to the other, invading even Asia. And with all that wealth rushing into the empire, people got very wealthy and they enjoyed their opulence. This is the largest baths ever made in ancient Rome. The baths of Diocletian. More than 3,000 people can fit here at any given time. I'm Ariel with Urbanist, and welcome to the Mysteries of the Eternal City, episode 3 of this lovely live series on Urbanist. Today we're going to explore some of the baths of Diocletian. We're going to pass by a church that was actually built within the baths by Michelangelo himself. And then we're going to go all around, about 10 minutes away, to explore one of the most evocative Baroque sculptures ever made. But for now, just take in the immensity of this place. 300 AD, 1,700 years ago, and it's massive. And great echo. Welcome everyone. Say Urbanist. Yes. Hello, you're watching Urbanist. So welcome to the Baths of Diocletian. Look how gigantic this place is. This is within the Roman Museum, right by the Termini area, right below Villa Borghese, which we're gonna go later after this broadcast around 5:30 p.m. But look how massive these baths are. Now, these baths consisted of 4 major sections: the frigidarium, the tepidarium, the calidarium, and also a massive pool. That was basically hot water, cold water, and tepid water, and then just a huge pool, probably for more recreational stuff. Where's the people? I don't know. A lot of people do. I don't think anyone's really coming to this museum. Everyone completely covers, fills up the Vatican and the Colosseum, but they're not coming here. And these are actual authentic mosaics that we're looking at, ancient Roman mosaics. When they excavated this area back in the 1860s, 1870s, they might have to piece together some of the mosaics. As we can see, some parts of it are actually missing. Lou, you have a little bit of catching up to do. Indeed you do. We already are on our 3rd episode of Mysteries of the Eternal City. Hello Ryan, and welcome to the Baths of Diocletian in ancient Rome. If I were here 2,000 years ago, I would need to wear a toga and get ready to get very, very hot and sweaty because of all the saunas that are available here. But that is no longer the case. So, I don't know why people are not here, but it's hugely impressive. Look how massive these baths are. A lot of people go to the baths of Caracalla. I will be paying that a visit, but I know that is way more popular. However, the baths of Diocletian, are the largest in all of the city of Rome. Let's walk around and let's see how Michelangelo had his hand in redefining A ancient Roman ruin. Hello, Gregory. Hello, Valeria. Hello, Casey. Hello, Percy. Kay, you didn't know about this place. Oh, I'm glad I can show you new places. I remember you told me you've been here a few times. And I accepted the challenge of trying to find places that fellow urbanists might have not seen on their Rome trips. I think I'd share a bathing area. I don't think I'll share a bathing area with 3,000 people. Yeah, this was the height of the Roman Empire, just shortly before it started falling down, for about 300 years following that. Now here's two sarcophagi. This one is not so ornamental aside from the reliefs on top of it, but this one is very ornamental with painted colors inside. Now, the interesting thing is that is original. When you're looking a lot of these stones all around ancient cultures, specifically ancient Rome and ancient Greece, they weren't as, and ancient Egypt as well, they weren't as plain as they look today. Every time we see them, they're just stone, right? Stone color, and maybe various shades of stone color. But when they were originally built, they had beautiful colors, just like the ones we see inside here. It's rare to find the colors intact because most of these buildings were exposed to the elements and they faded away over time. But when you find a sarcophagus where it was sealed up for most of those 10 centuries, you see the color that was originally there. So you can imagine seeing these beautiful sculptures too, because the ancient Roman sculptures were also believed to have color. Any movies filmed here? You know, that's a great question. I don't know. You know, there's not that many movies filmed in Rome outside of Italian cinema. And I'm not too familiar with Italian cinema, to be honest. The only movie I know of is La Dolce Vita, which is significantly filmed in Rome. But when it comes to other movies, you know, I don't know. I generally know my movie locations. George, you say those niches were for creation urns. Amazing. Hello, Don. Welcome. Wow. So, if you've ever been to the Met and seen the Temple of Dendur, you'll find basically a bunch of temples of Dendur all around Rome. They're from ancient Rome instead of ancient Egypt, but you get to get a lot more closer up to them, and they're way more plentiful. Now these are brickwork, but the Romans were also known for concrete. Now let's go over here. Let me show you the pool. Let's go outside. Anyone want to jump in the pool? Because they got one. They got one right down there. Hello, Rocky. The sound in there would be great for a concert. You know what? I think they do have concerts. Yesterday at Vatican Museum, I did attend a concert after I finished the live video. It was playing in their courtyard, and I know that they have night at the museum events here at this museum. Those rooms are sarcophaguses. Yes, they are. Those specific ones are sarcophaguses. They house the sarcophagus. So, yeah, you're right. The entire room is not a sarcophagus, but it did house a sarcophagus. So it was a sarcophagus room. Right here is the pool. This was the massive section which people use more recreationally. The other three, the frigidarium, the tepidarium, and the calidarium, which were hot, cold, and tepid water, were more kind of for health reasons. And yes, you would socialize in them as well. But this pool was really the social hangout, and it's huge. Let's step inside. So of course there's no water here, but the swimming pool was laid out with marble flooring. You can just imagine taking a bath here, 3,000 people in this establishment, and looking at these huge, massive walls. Because if you go to any type of resort nowadays or fitness gym where they have a pool or Olympic-sized pool, the walls aren't this tall. The structure isn't this monumental. Look at this beautiful mosaic hung up here. Those mosaics usually were on the floor. Oh, that's pure marble. Is there an echo in here? So cool. Now I wonder why they were so echoey. Was it for people to be able to hear each other a little bit better? Or would it have been the reverse? Would have sound just escaped while you're kind of chatting so the entire place wouldn't be too loud? Those are the questions I wonder, especially in these places where they were kind of just a normal way of life, especially for wealthy Romans, at least. It was a normal way of life. Ooh, look at this. So that pool is definitely more than 6 feet tall at its deepest. Right there, 6 feet tall, yeah. Yeah, so definitely was a swimming pool. As opposed to the other ones that are more like saunas. Here's more like the huge fountains and the bathtubs. Cool thing about this museum, you can get very up close to the stone. Yeah, you know what? I think recreational swimming wasn't really that big of a deal in ancient Rome. That's a guess, but I think it kind of makes sense that recreational exercise in general became a thing much later. So the baths of Diocletian, they are some of the biggest ruins that stuck out in Rome throughout the past 2,000 years, 1,700 years. However, by 1500s, Pope Pius really wanted an upgrade to his digs. He wanted a huge estate. And he hired Michelangelo towards the very end of his life. He was 86 years old to redesign the baths of Diocletian and make into this beautiful, huge estate. This is Michelangelo's final architectural work before he passed away shortly thereafter at 86 years old. So he lived a very long life. And it's magical how he kind of seamlessly transitions the bath of Diocletian without kind of tearing walls down with the Renaissance architecture that we see all around here. I can't imagine why there would be cremation urns in the bathhouse. Maybe those were not originally in this location. They just moved them here because this functions as a museum. So there's a lot of pieces here that probably did not belong to the baths. But the baths were highly decorated. Probably not with creation urns, but they were decorated. Probably with wall paintings, mosaics, lots of other things. And Lauren, do you think they cleaned the water in the pool? How would they do that? As George says, the water constantly flowed out. So it was kind of like always coming in and out, kind of like modern pools are. Upstairs there is a huge museum depicting a lot of prehistory Rome. So the Latins, who were the tribal group that started ancient Rome as we know it. And they have a bunch of artifacts upstairs of them, so I highly recommend coming to this museum and checking that out. Living to 86 was rare in Renaissance. You know what? I think you might be right. You know, Michelangelo lived quite a while. However, there was elderly people in history. The thing is, our conception of people dying early is because of the mortality rate that ended up being lower, but the mortality rate ended up being lower because the infant mortality rate was very low. Because kids would naturally just die a lot earlier whenever they would be born, because they would be more susceptible to disease. So children die more, infants die way more often. So that's why when they say that the average lifespan in the 1500s was like 50 years old, it's because they're counting also infant mortality. So yeah, there were elderly people back then. But nonetheless, even today, 86 years old is still quite old. So Michelangelo lived a very, very long life. Similar to another Baroque painter that we're going to learn about towards the end of this tour, Gian Lorenzo Bernini. Was it like a thermal spring? Yes. Though, were they hot springs? I think they were heated up artificially. I'm not entirely sure what the technology they used. The cold springs, I think they used the cold water that was naturally coming from the aqueducts, which does come down pretty cold. But it's not like in the baths, I'm assuming, I don't know this for sure, but it's not like the baths in Budapest or Iceland or these other areas of the world that tend to have a lot of hot water springs below the ground. But if anyone knows a little bit better, let me know. All right, let's walk outside and let's go to Michelangelo's breathtaking work of Santa Maria. Hey, Susan, you're amazed by the craftsmanship of these ancient places. Yeah, look at these beautiful columns, the Corinthian column right over there. We see Ionic column, I think. And then Doric columns. 3 types of columns. fountains everywhere. Rome really had a great relationship with water. Even though Rome, before the Latins really settled here, it was a very swampy area. It was very unattractive, especially to the Etruscans, which were the major power around like 600, 700 BC. They didn't want to move here because it was swampy, marshy, filled with a bunch of mosquitoes that had malaria. So when the Latins settled down here, they were in very small numbers. But when Rome got bigger and bigger and bigger, the Etruscans came and then went. The Romans decided to build aqueducts, massive aqueducts that led all the way from the springs that are about 20 miles away, right here to Rome. For that, we're going to learn about that next week at the Trevi Fountain, so stay tuned. Now we're going to walk around the corner and walk towards the church that is built within the baths of Diocletian. However, it's not connected to the museum. You have to actually walk outside. And always exit to the gift shop. Yep. Was that earlier shown ornate staircases from ancient times? No, that staircase was not from ancient Rome. That was built by Michelangelo, the staircase that we saw. Now, whether the Romans had staircases that looked like that, I would say a little bit less decorative, but they probably did. Because they did have multiple story buildings. Some buildings went up to 6 stories, I think was the maximum that they went. And right here we have Rome Termini, which the night tour bus for the big bus tour started and ended. George, there were whole systems to channel the heat from the constantly running fires. Yes, thank you. So it was artificially heated to control the warmth of the pool's temperatures. There we go. So yeah, there was no natural hot springs here, unlike a city like Budapest, which the Romans loved when they went there, or like a city like Bath in England. They also loved it because they had natural hot springs. That was not the case here in Rome. There was volcanic activity in prehistory times where the Latins originally settled here, but by the time of ancient Rome, that was not really the case in this nearby area. Strange to see red buses in Rome. Well, those are the big tour buses, not the classic London buses. So you can see how huge this baths are, and these are baths. Baths just used for saunas, for swimming, and they had some exercise rooms, but pretty much that's it. It was just the entire pleasure palace in essence. You are so lucky to experience this, Shirley. I am. I do feel lucky to be able to travel and walk through these beautiful cities, and that's why I'm very happy to share it with all of you on live video, finding any way I can to give you as many live videos as possible. Gretchen, you made it! There we go, one of the other 32-ish obelisks in Rome. Let's keep count how many we see throughout these 12 videos, plus others. Here is Plaza Repubblica with 2 P's. Another beautiful fountain in the center of it. And it's circular. Why is it circular? Might have been a circus before, though I'm not entirely sure. Wow. Romans were magicians with water. I agree. They really were. They learned a lot from the Greeks, especially from the people who lived in the island of Rhodes. They were among the first to engineer huge bath systems. Now this site can't really do a live video on because it's about 12 feet underground right now, all around Rome, are the sewers of ancient Rome. And those sewers of ancient Rome are still intact, fully intact, and some of them are actually still in use. That's how efficient the sewage system, the water system of the ancient Romans were. And some of these fountains, including the Trevi fountain, which we'll learn about later, but some of these fountains were still serviced by the same aqueducts used by ancient Rome up until a few decades ago. Now let's go into Santa Maria degli Angeli I Martiri. Forgive my Italian pronunciation. It's St. Mary, the angel, and the martyr. This church is very interesting because there's something interesting about the facade of this church. Wait a minute. It doesn't look like any other church. It looks like the baths of Diocletian. It is the baths of Diocletian. Michelangelo was tasked not to only build that beautiful piazza that we saw down there, but to build a huge, massive church inside. And just like the Pantheon, it's bigger on the inside. Let's go. Hey Brenda, your sister will be here in Rome on Sunday. I hope she'll be watching my videos. Oh, awesome. If she sees me, tell her to feel free to say hi. Ciao. Prepare yourself, everyone. I did not expect this church to be this way. I was expecting something much smaller, but prepare yourself. I know I've done already like 2 churches, but that's what you go to Rome for the churches. All right, without further ado, the Church of St. Mary. Wow. So the Church of St. Mary is very special for 2 reasons. One, it was built by the great Michelangelo, the very last piece of architecture, last piece of art that he's ever done before he passed away from a very long life of 86 years old. But the second reason this church is so important is because it functions as a massive sundial, a huge gnomon, a meridian, to calculate exactly how long the days of the year and the equinoxes are. So when Pope Pius built this church, he installed this gnomon, this meridian. It's a huge device. It's basically a hole in the top of one of the windows that has a lens. And that circle goes all around the church, very similar to what we saw in Paris. Paris also has a gnomon. That calculated an error. Pius, unlike the Paris one, which was not built so well, this one was built really well. And when Pius found out that the dates were wrong, the actual dates that they had on their calendars, so one year in the 1520s, it suddenly went from October 2nd, and the next day it was October 15th, out of nowhere. The reason for that is because they realized that their dates were slightly wrong. They adjusted them with the meridian that they used here inside this church. Now, there's a second interesting kind of symbolic reason why they built the meridian specifically in this church. It's because Pope Pius wanted to show the world that the Roman Catholic ingenuity of calculating time has bested the pagans who made the first calendar, the ancient Romans. Oh, Ana, visitaste esta iglesia que bien. You visited this church. That's amazing. And iglesia tan preciosa. It's a beautiful church. keep on walking. Prepare yourself because this church also has the largest transept, which means the cross-section of any church in Rome, or the widest, I mean. Look how huge. So I love how Michelangelo kind of made this church very ancient Roman looking. He maintains certain parts of the structure of the Baths of Diocletian, especially the south-facing wall, because the Baths of Diocletian was already a south-facing building, and that made it ideal for the meridian as well. Right there. There's the meridian. I think that's it. Yeah, that should be it. Right there. Are the floors marble? Oh, yes they are. Michelangelo, you know how much he loved his marble. Michelangelo loved marble so much that he personally went to the mountains that are about 20 miles away from Rome. That right now is called the $1 billion mountain because the mountain is worth more than $1 billion because it's some of the best marble or sought after marble in the world. And he loved personally going there. So those are, I'm not entirely sure, but I would say most of them are paintings. Yep, paintings. To see how they were painted in sections. But there are frescoes because the dome right there, that is not real reliefs. Those are real reliefs. That one, those are frescoes. And they're not mosaics. You would be able to tell if it's a mosaic if the colors were extremely bright. Some of them are a little bit faded. These ones are pretty good because the sun doesn't really hit them. That one is a little bit more faded. They're still in excellent condition though. Sí, Ana, aquí está la meridian donde ellos calculan el tiempo solar. The meridian is indeed here where they calculate the solar time. Yep, all in the Renaissance. Michelangelo passed away, but his team continued finishing up the church, and it was all pretty much done by the late 1500s. Here, we get to see baths of Diocletian kind of untouched. Let's go right through here. So it's significantly more colder in this room, and that's because this section was the frigidarium, where they had the cold baths. And here we have, ooh, look how gorgeous this is. And David, you say you live near Tuckahoe, New York, which was known for its marble. It is said that some was shipped to Italy. Some houses in your neighborhood have raw marble foundations. Oh, that's interesting. The town is also heavily Italian ancestry. Doesn't surprise me. I assume some of the best marblers that are all around the world are also probably Italian ancestry. So that was the Church of Santa Maria de Angeli. Now, let's go to Church of Santa Maria. But this one is Santa Maria de Vittoro. George, yeah, that's why the Pantheon is still standing, because Roman concrete was really well done. All right, let me get my bearings. Here's more baths of Diocletian. Huge, huge complex. Whoa. Let's go down here. We're only a few minutes away from yet another church called Santa Maria, because the Romans really loved their Virgin Mary. We've already been to two other churches, Santa Maria. This is our third today, and now we're going to go to our fourth Santa Maria. Santa means saint, and Maria means Mary. Oh, look, orange trees. Oh, wow. That's tall. Look how tall that is for an ancient Roman ruin. Oh, that's insanely tall. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask as we make our way to Santa Maria. David, your home was built on an old marble quarry that was filled in the 1950s. Oh, well, interesting. That they filled up the quarry as well. I think I have to go down here. I'm correct. very wide streets in this area of Rome. Look at that, has kind of like Parisian vibes in this particular street. We're very close to Via Vittorio, which was a major hangout of Italian celebrities during the 1950s and 60s. So anyone who ever starred in films by Fellini and countless other Italian directors that were actually world famous, they would hang out in this general neighborhood. Are you going to the St. Church of Peter in Chains? Ooh, I have not heard of that one yet. Is that the one with the Pope Julius II's tomb? If it is, I do plan on going to it. Otherwise, I don't know of it yet. Not many people out on a Saturday. Yeah, this neighborhood used to be the hangout back in the 1950s and 60s, similar to how the Greenwich Village was the hangout at that same time. But unlike the Greenwich Village, people just really didn't come back here anymore. It's not really that popular of a neighborhood. In the 1970s, people were obsessed with Fellini. Indeed, they were. Indeed, they were. Oh, awesome. Okay, yeah, you'll be seeing that. I can't wait to talk about that tomb and more about Michelangelo. The weather looks great here. In London, it's cloudy, cold, and raining. Yeah, Italian, Rome specifically, but other Italian cities are known for their great weather. These streets here are over way longer than the ones that you find more towards the center of Rome. So you can imagine coming back here in the 1960s and 70s, seeing the starlets, like the starlet of La Dolce Vita, directors like Fellini, maybe even a few appearances of Clint Eastwood after filming with Sergio Leone. And you'll also see American stars here because they like to mingle with the Italian set, especially in the 1970s when the two film industries are starting to meld together, with a few major films made by Italian directors in America. I think we're getting to the right church. Should be that one, right down there. What kind of place am I staying at? I'm also staying at Airbnb around the Vatican area. I'll be showing it to you at the end of my trip, around probably on October 23rd. I'll be showing you my Airbnb. One interesting thing you'll see all around Rome is this little abbreviation. or acronym, SPQR. Ana visita el jardino o parco de la Arancini, Jardín de los Naranjos en el Aviento. Gran visita. Oh, will do. I've heard about the Aventine Gardens. Yo he oído de la Jardines Aventina y que son bien bellos. Oh. I think I've walked too far, everyone. We have to backtrack a little bit. George, thank you. Senatus publisque domanos. The Senate and the people joined up in the Republic. That's what SPQR means, and you'll see that abbreviation all around Rome. Via Vittoro. All right, everyone, I think I'm unfortunately lost. I don't know where the church is. I thought it was directly ahead of the street, but I don't see it at all. It definitely wasn't that smaller one. So yeah, I'm looking for Santa Maria di Vittoro, and that is the challenge of doing Facebook Live on the phone, is that I don't have an extra phone for GPS. I have to count on navigation, but it doesn't appear to be here. I don't know why. I don't know where it went to. But if anyone could go on the map and let me know. I'm right now at Via Quintito Sela.
Via 27.
I think you're right, yeah, it's pretty empty. Well, at least in this area. Probably if we would go to the more touristy center, probably be packed to the brim with people. And Donald, yeah, I'm indeed having a great luck with the weather today. Scusi. All right, everyone, stay tuned. I have to delay this church. I'll find where it is located. Have no idea where it's located. You called me, I got lost. But stay tuned. I'll try to find the church and see if I can do it before I go to Galleria Borghese. If not, you'll see me at Galleria Borghese around 19:30. Oh, actually around 5:45 p.m. Rome time. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Keep being awesome and always keep on exploring. Have a great day, everyone. Arrivederci, amici.